Is I don't know if you've read the Dark Tower stuff, but I know in the Dark Tower stuff he links a lot of his books together. Do you know, is there any link between Carrie and The Shining and that? Because it seems like it's all of a piece where he whatever Carrie has is a very similar power to whatever Danny has.
I'm not sure. I think I've only read the first maybe 2 Dark Tower books, maybe part of the third one, but there were like 9 or 10 or 12 of those books or something. Yeah, but there's also an interesting, and I might be reaching here, and I will...
Ooh, please, reach away.
Well, just that there is something interesting about the fact that Carrie and Danny have such similar powers, and in a lot of ways such similar family situations where they have this domineering, controlling, abusive parent.
Yeah.
But Carrie's powers are coded as evil.
Yes.
The
by
mother
by her mother, yes.
Yeah, but even in the movie, her powers are frightening. Her powers are scary, they're jarring, they're startling. They come with the psycho knife in the shower noise,
Yes, very much so, yeah.
Whereas Danny's powers are frightening to Danny.
Yeah, good point, yeah.
They're scary because we're worried about Danny, because we want him to be okay, and he's having scary visions of horrible ghosts and blood elevators, and it's right. Oh no, not poor sweet Danny. Whereas with Carrie, it's when her powers manifest, it takes everybody aback, even I think the viewer, where you're a little bit ooh, oh shit, oh no, that seems like it's gonna be bad. And then when she loses control, she kills everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think it says something about giving that sort of power to a teenage girl. Is a lot more frightening.
What I find really interesting between the two of them is that Danny's powers, I don't know, I mean, maybe it's because he's so young or whatnot, but they're fairly passive for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
At least if you're going by the movie anyway. He's not using them actively to deter Jack or anything else that's really he uses them to call Scatman Crothers, whose name I can't remember.
Halloran. Dick Halloran.
Yeah, he uses them to call Halloran, but that's the only really active thing he does.
Adding to that, even when he is more quote unquote active, he's almost playing tricks. It's mind games.
Yes.
He's making you see things or making you confused.
Also, his powers are also arguably, for the most part, a vulnerability. Because that's what's making him susceptible to all of the evil in the Overlook, is the fact that he has those powers.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas in Carrie's powers are activated essentially by self-defense, because every time that happens, she's backed into a corner, or it's just a high stress level or something. It's very much almost a reflex. I don't think there's any scene in the movie where she actively tries to use them. I don't think there's a Luke Skywalker moment where she's sitting and then she wills the pencil to fly over into her hand or something like that.
Well, I think there might be a little. It's questionable, because there's that moment when she's waiting for Tommy to come pick her up before the prom, and she says to her mom, she yells at her mom, "Sit down," and her mom seems almost kind of forced, bodily, to sit back on the bed and
Sure,
so
but
it's questionable. It's is Carrie doing it, or is the mom just freaked out?
I think Carrie is doing it, but even in that point, it's not. I wouldn't necessarily say she is choosing to do it. I feel like it is still part of a instinctive response to the stress of that situation, because the mother's giving her all kinds of shit and whatnot.
Yeah, that's fair.
She's up to here with it. And there's no moment where she is completely calm and decides to actively control her powers. It's always an outburst.
That's true. Yeah.
And it does make sense to have that be something that happens to a teenager in high school in this situation, because that stuff does just pile and pile and pile and pile. And especially with this relationship that she has with her mother, and being locked in the under the stairs and whatnot, it's just awful.
Yeah, the prayer closet.